Okay, cool. We're recording. So feel free to mute and unmute as needed. And you guys, when I go over this system, I want you to stop me if you have a question about something I've said, unless you're anticipating that I'm going to go over it, like if it's a future thing down the road, hang on to it. But I think I want to be interrupted as we go so I can make sure that everything's clear instead of having to like go back and be like, oh, that wasn't clear. So are we cool with that? Okay, so today I'm talking about my NewConsultant system. And I think it's really important to have a really good, solid NewConsultant system. And when I sat down and like reviewed this for the, I don't know, probably the 9th time, because I'm always tweaking it, I'm always making it better. It's definitely not perfect. I'm not claiming that it's perfect, but I'm claiming that that it's probably the best I've ever had. And I've seen such an increase in my NewConsultant productivity because of it. And so I also want to open this up by saying that this is more of an art than a science, but there is definitely like an outline and kind of a flow to it. And that's more what I'm going over. I'm more going over the outline and the flow, not the nitty-gritty details of working and coaching with someone one-on-one, because clearly that's different with everyone, and I can't exactly go through that as a science just in one Zoom chat. So again, I'm going to start from the beginning, and I'm going to work from a NewConsultant just signed her agreement all the way to virtually red jacket, okay? And I've kind of got this system and flow in place. And then I did email you a couple things. The first thing I emailed you was a director's guide to NewConsultant system. And it looks like this. And it's literally, I don't even know if you can see this. It's a list of everything I do from the beginning all the way till red jacket. Awesome. So like everything I'm going over is on this piece of paper, which is in your email. The other thing I sent you is my promotion packages. What gets mailed out. My assistant takes care of this. Each promotion level from senior consultant to new sales director and what goes in each package that gets mailed to them once they've hit that promotion. And this part is probably going to be your most valuable. This is a 4-page texting. It's basically a text feed with me and NewConsultant from NewConsultant all the way to red. So it's going to show you all my communications with her through text. And I took out her comments, and I did take out some of the private stuff, but like I said, this is like not it's not a science, it's an art. So some of the stuff I pulled out, but there was some stuff that I left in. And I also wanted to say too that this is the most perfect scenario, the one I copied. This is like the ideal scenario where somebody isn't hitting a ton of roadblocks, maybe a few, but like nothing you can't easily coach through. And I eliminated a lot of the in-between like blah, 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 just and kept the important stuff that is a part of the system, if that makes sense. Okay, so I just wanted to kind of like tell you that up front. I also attached my postcards for senior consultant, red jacket, team leader. I did attach those in there, which they're really great. And when you look at them, you'll know what I mean, because they actually tell them like, hey, now that you're a senior, this is what you could be responsible for. Hey, now that you're a red, this is like the things that you can choose to do. And, hey, now that you're a team leader, be looking towards, this in your leadership. So they're really cool postcards. I also put my welcome packet, my debut packet, like the stuff that is just kind of obvious, but it's in there. And there is a couple things that I did not include, but I will send those separately. I did not include my like my welcome video, my welcome survey, which I will send all those in a separate thing, and the links are in the text feed. So you'll see all the links in the text feed that's there, but I didn't like include the actual videos, if that makes sense. Okay, so let's start at the top. So a NewConsultant signs up, whether she signs up with you or not when you're in her presence. There's like a first set of things that she gets, okay? And those first thing is she gets a welcome packet. And if she's in person, I hand it to her. If it's not in person, then I will text it to her. And so the welcome packet, she gets a welcome text saying, welcome to Mary Kay. This is your sales director, Tina Frantz. And you'll also see that in the text feed. They'll get a welcome video, which is me, my face, going over some welcome information. I definitely think that every director needs to make their own. You can't really use my video, my welcome video, because it's very specific to my unit, my name, like that kind of thing, okay? But you can watch the video, take notes, and then create your own, because I think it's really important for the consultant, especially in regards to her emotional management skills and her actually making it to her orientation, okay? So that's really important that she has that welcome video. I also send her a welcome survey. The welcome survey is, I think, kind of brilliant. And what the welcome survey is, and I'll just pull it up really fast on my phone because it's like really good, is it's just basically asking some I think kind of important questions about her personal reason why she joined, and like a little bit about her goals and the time that she wants to put into it. And the way that it's worded is giving her options so that I can kind of put her in a camp of some sort, all right? And it says name, what's your cell phone number? Do you have a significant other? Do you have kiddos? I would love to know what you currently do. When it comes down to it, really, why did you start Mary Kay? How many hours were you thinking? What will you use your Mary Kay income towards? If I was talking to someone who really knows you well, what 3 words would she use to describe you? What are the 3 most important characteristics that you look for in a leader? That's a really important question. What kind of recognition do you love? Again, another important question. If you had a weekend where you could do anything you want, which is more like you, hanging out with friends and family or quiet, peaceful time by yourself? Do people in general give you energy, drain your energy? Which phrase best describes you? Getting to know their personality style, questions like that. What are you most excited about in regards to Mary Kay? And then what scares you the most in regards to Mary Kay? And then the last question, which is really going to get you a feel for where she's at. What are a few of the most dominant questions in your brain right now? Okay. I receive that and I review that before I show up to her orientation. Okay, so that goes to a spreadsheet that I continue to use as a new consultant tracking system for her. Okay, so that automatically her responses go onto a Google form or a Google spreadsheet, Google Sheets exactly, and I can now use that forever to track kind of what she does if I want to use that for that purpose. And so let's see here. After she, go ahead, what?
Can I ask a question about that?
Yeah.
So when you say tracking, because that's a really brilliant idea of tracking new consultants. So like you just add additional columns to that actual Google Doc.
Correct. You can add as many as you want.
Cool. So that way you can, okay. I just want to make sure.
Yeah. And so the form stays the same, but when you go into the actual form, you can actually adjust what you want to track. Okay.
You kind of can just reference that before you talk to her the next time, all those things.
Yes. Although I don't reference it all the time. I more or less reference it in regards to where is she at on the track of all the things new consultants do, but I don't reference it like as in what did we talk about. I use that as my recap text, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute.
Thank you.
Yeah. So you continue to use your spreadsheet to track like what new consultants should actually be doing. And I have a sheet that I keep in my stuff that just has like everything a new consultant should accomplish between the time she signs up and the time she becomes a red jacket. For example, like new consultant boot camp, the Voxer challenge, her power start, like that sort of thing. And so first order, second order, and all of that stuff I'm tracking on the spreadsheet, if that makes sense, because I want to know like, what is she doing that's like education that she needs as a new consultant. Does that make sense? Okay, and I have a little sheet that I'll send to you too. Actually, let me make a note of that because I want to send you that sheet. I went over this actually at New Consultant Training not too long ago. or last week I did new consultant training, and I went over that exact sheet just to make sure everybody knew that there were certain things that they should train on before they become a red jacket. Or basically, like, if they don't know what they're doing, this is the list. They can check off what they've already done, and whatever they haven't done, that's their go-to. And so I did that, and I'll send that to you. New consultant success list is what it's called. Okay, so anyway, so they fill out the welcome survey. It goes on that spreadsheet. That's how I continue to track, like, the things that I know that they need to do as a new consultant. And then after they get the welcome survey, then I send them the inventory video. And I do use Michelle Cunningham's newest inventory video. I love it. I've never had a problem bringing in stores, full stores, half stores, stars, etc. So until I start having an issue with that, I'm not going to recreate it right now. I might eventually, but it's great. It's also funny and lighthearted, so it kind of just takes the pressure off of feeling like this is such a huge decision, because it's just a smart decision. It turns it from like this to like, oh, it makes sense. And then I schedule the orientation. Okay, so once they have all of those things in their phone, so I just quickly text it to them, and you'll see that in the text sheet that I sent you that goes through every single text that I send. You'll see that, like, once I send all that information, I literally say, I cannot wait to set up your orientation. What works better for you, tomorrow or the next day is more what you were thinking. And so then I set that up, and then I say, awesome, please review the videos and complete the survey before we meet. Write down all your questions so you don't forget. And that text right there, awesome, please review the videos and complete the survey, that thing is in a saved text in my phone. So, like, I just put NEWORT, and it automatically pulls up that whole text for me. So it's a text replacement in my phone, if that makes sense. So it's easy. I don't even have to think about it. Like, I just know that that's the next step. I put new ORT, and it pulls that text out. And then she's like, awesome, cool. And then, so you'll see that I send on the form of exactly the form, you'll see, okay, welcome packet, welcome text, welcome video, welcome survey, inventory video, schedule orientation, and then you'll see confirmation text. That's the day of. Hey girl, still on for our orientation today, ? That's just confirming that it's holding. If it does, great. If not, I reschedule it. And then after that, we do the orientation. Okay. The orientation. Okay. So I am obsessed with my orientation. Like, I've perfected it over and over and over again. And like, the one that was like 3 rough drafts back is the one that Julia has on her website right now for a new consultant orientation. But this is like, you know, 3 rough drafts in the future is what I use now. And it's actually a Google form that only I see. Okay. So she doesn't see the form. She doesn't fill out the form. It's for my purposes. Okay. And what I do with this form is I use it to keep myself on track and make sure that I go over what I need to go over without forgetting anything. And so that every single orientation is exactly the same when it comes to like what I need to go over, and that it's duplicatable. Okay. So I wanted my new consultant system to be so duplicatable that I could literally hand it to Caitlin and she could be like, oh, I can fill out a Google form. Like, that's not a big deal. And so my new consultant orientation is, in my opinion, like, it's really good. Like, it's really good. Okay. And I've sent you guys, I think, my Google form for that. But basically, and let me just pull it up really quick, and I'll just read you what.
Hey, Tina, when did you send that?
I didn't send this to everyone. I just sent it to a couple people who asked me about it like a couple weeks ago. So I'll send it to everybody.
Okay.
Okay. So you're welcome. All right. New consultant orientation. I just basically put their name in so I know whose this is. And then I ask them why'd they really start. And I'm recapping what they already put in the welcome survey. How many, again, I want her to tell me what she's already filled out in the thing. This is me confirming and reiterating what she already filled out in her welcome survey. So why did you start? How many hours? When can we dedicate your time to the business? So that like reminds me, hey, let's talk about a weekly plan sheet. What do you know Or what would you want to do with your business if you knew you couldn't fail? This allows her to dream big and to remove the fear and just picture, if there was no fear, if there was no cap, if there was no this or that, failure, blah, 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 where would you go with Mary Kay? And this tells me what she would really want to do if all of the junk wasn't in the way. You know what I'm saying? So I want to know that. How would you rate your confidence on a scale of 1 to 10? And I always add, 1, I don't believe I can do this, and 10 is I can do anything I put my mind to, given the right resources and support. How would you rate your commitment level? This is really important because I've had people tell me that their commitment level is a 1. That's not someone I'm probably going to spend a lot of time pulling, and trying to get to do things. But anybody who's like a 5 or above, they have some sort of commitment that they're going to try to make it work. Also, when you have someone who rates their confidence below a 5, then you need to be really careful about the inventory package that they pick. Okay. So these are great questions to decide how you can lead and coach this person in the correct manner, so that you don't A, overwhelm her, or B, frustrate her. Okay. And then the next thing is a series of things that I want to talk about. So it says, here's what you need to know to get started. And then we're going to go over your questions about the videos and inventory, and then we'll talk your next steps. I literally have little boxes that I check once I've talked about it. Voxer, notification sound off, please check it daily. Lifeline of our business world, send me your ID. Apps that you should download, MyLikeU, Pick Collage, My Customers Plus, Dropbox. I explain the apps and what they do and why they're important. Website, the 2 websites that are going to be their go-to for info over the next 90 days or more. TinaFrantz.com, Mary Kay In Touch. Have you logged in yet? Blah, blah, blah. Facebook, the Frantz unit group, the revolutionary group. Meetings, so important, like basically the most important, physically or virtually, like get to a meeting, and I explain the importance of meeting and how I think it's the most important thing above even booking. And then I talk about our 3-tier training approach that makes us the best. Digital training with like Voxer, Bootcamp Online, MK University, physical training, which is the meetings and events, and then the personal mentorship, AKA me and you. And so we talk about that. So once I've gone over like those specific things, at this point, she's encouraged because she feels like she has some tools. She's also excited because she knows there's support. There's a 3-tier training support. And now I am asking her what questions she has. And I'll even be specific because you want to come across as a confident director that knows how to go from point A to point B. So I'll even say, what questions do you have? I'm sure you have questions about inventory and next steps. So tell me what questions are on your brain. And then she's going to say, okay, yeah, like it almost always is, I don't really have any questions, or it's, I have questions about inventory. Occasionally you'll get questions about like, when can I start selling? Or when am I going to get my starter kit? Or, but for the most part, it's inventory, or I don't think I have any questions. I just like, what do I do now? And so that's when the next steps comes in. If you are answering questions, great, answer questions. And that's when the next steps comes in the orientation. And I listed things that you check off that you're going to talk about. So I say your next steps are making an inventory decision. If we hadn't made that already, which if we hadn't made that in our questions, then we make it right then before I check that box off. List of people with skin. I want to tell her to start making that list so she can start her list, like her giant list. And then I talk about the checklist and the welcome packet. I show her where they are in the welcome packet, and I explain what prizes she gets when she completes them. Then I reiterate the Voxer challenge and how important it is for her mental peace in her brain. Like for the mental preparedness of being an entrepreneur in Mary Kay, the Voxer challenge is absolutely essential. Then we set up our next chat and we talk about her first pinning at a meeting. Okay. And so I try, if she's out of state and we're doing this over the FaceTime, I try to find out where she can be plugged in before this conversation happens. But if not, I know that that's one of the things that I have to do before I can even check that box. And then it says when our next chat is on. So it makes me put in our next chat and time before I submit it. This again goes to a spreadsheet. Now, I don't actually use this one to continue the NewConsultant tracking. I like the first one better because it's her answers and it's her personality style and a lot of other stuff. I just like to refer back to this one every once in a while, if I forget to put in what date and time I scheduled her chat, and what her confidence and commitment level is. But honestly, I hardly ever go back to this spreadsheet, partly because I am mainly using it so that I can be duplicatable and that I won't forget anything in the orientation. Okay. So that's just something that I feel like is important for you to know. Okay. let me get out of that. So I'll send you guys that form. It's super helpful. And it's, like I said, it's basically just an outline of an orientation so that you don't forget anything. Okay, so then back to our flow. There's a flow chart that I've developed. It's a really scratch and dent one. It's not pretty at all, but it's a flow chart that basically looks like, you know, if she comes in with inventory and she's got a high commitment level and she's kind of serious, you're going to take her on this side of the flow chart. And if she's on this side of the flow chart, that's either like she didn't come in with inventory or she's not very committed. And that goes on this side of the flow chart. And even on this side of the flow chart, if someone didn't come up with inventory, but she was like trying really hard to, couldn't figure it out, but she still has a high commitment level and she's still showing you that she wants to make it work ethic wise, which is rare, but it happens. You're still going to take her down this side of the, you're still going to take her down the flow chart. It just might not look the same as one or the other, but I'm going to send you that flow chart too, because I think it's really important, because it does go to, it basically takes them still to the red jacket position. A lot of people on this side of the flow chart don't make it there because they weren't committed in the beginning, or they didn't come in with inventory, and they felt like they were frustrated. And when I said how to fix the frustration, they weren't willing. So there's a level of like commitment or willingness that has to happen in order to take anything on this side to the red jacket. And if the willingness or the commitment isn't there, you guys, you can't control that. And so there's things you can control and there's things you can't control. And so when it comes to willingness and commitment, I basically treat them like a really good customer. And I just invite them to stuff. I almost like continue the layering process with them until they develop the belief that they can be committed or that they are willing, if that makes sense. And so on that side of the flow chart, you just have to realize you can't control their willingness. You can't control their commitment. So you just need to layer them until that changes, or you just have to be willing to love on them anyway. Okay. I never like give up on people necessarily. Like, I don't think to myself, well, okay, that's a lie. I do think to myself, I don't want to talk to this person anymore. But just being real, but I know that's not okay. And so I don't do that. I don't actually physically, but you know what I'm saying? There's some people that you're just like, for real, why did you sign up? Okay. So you want to take that into consideration when you're looking at the flow chart. Don't be surprised if when you look at the people that go on this side of the flow chart, they never make it to red jacket. I mean, they either won't, or they finally find that vision, and then you move them to this side of the flow chart. Okay. So when you're on this side of the flow chart, we're going to continue this side of the flow chart because that's the majority of your people that you're going to be working with, is the ones who come in with inventory or some type of order, blah, blah, blah. Commitment levels above a 5, etc. Once you determine the inventory amount, then I send them a inventory questionnaire and I make sure that they go over the power plan. So my inventory questionnaire is really also, it helps me more than it helps anybody. But what it does for them, it makes them feel confident that I am going to put the product in their order that they are going to sell, that I know what I'm doing, and that they can trust me because I have the formula figured out, that I'm not going to give them a bunch of products that they're not going to sell. Does that make sense? Because one of the biggest fears a consultant has when you're starting to do inventory is they're like, well, what if you put a bunch of products in there that I don't sell? And I'm like, girl, that's what this formula is for. And so when you fill this out, it's going to allow me to make sure that you get all the products that you're excited about. I'm plugging in my computer, you guys, because I'm about to go dead. I want to make sure I know the products that you're excited about. I need to know the demographic that you're going to be working in at the beginning. And I just need to know some information. And so that's where the inventory survey comes in. So I guess the things that I haven't sent you yet is my welcome videos, the orientation, and the inventory survey, which I'll send that to you. Yeah. And so they fill out that based on the order that they told me that they are excited about. And I do ask them if they're like, I don't know what order is good for me. Then I just say, okay, well, let's do the business power plan. Let's see what Mary Kay recommends. And then you can decide from there what you want to do. Okay. It's never what we want to do. It's never what I think you should do. Like, those words should not come out of your mouth, because once you have claimed that you helped her with that decision, or that you helped her decide, then it's your fault when it doesn't work. And so, or when that's the wrong order or blah, 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 blah. So I never say those words. I say, well, let's go through the business power plan and see what Mary Kay recommends. And then you can decide based on that. Does that make sense?
That's a good question here, Tina.
Yeah.
So just to clarify, the determining inventory amount, this is still happening at your orientation, correct? Like this
Yeah.
And the inventory questionnaire and the power plan is just dependent on what they're deciding to do, essentially. So if like they're all ready to go, you don't need to do a power plan. If they're like, yeah, like I'm talking about like where she's a confident person, she's committed, she's like, I want to do an 1800, I'm working 5 hours a week. Like you don't need to walk through the power plan.
No. I only walk through if she asks me the question, I don't know what I should do.
Okay, gotcha. I just want to make sure. Thank you.
A lot of times, especially the more confident of the woman, they'll come in and they already know what package they've ordered. They've already signed up for the Chase card and they're ready to go. And they have their card right there. So you have that option where you just fill out the inventory questionnaire, get their card information. I plug it right into my inventory questionnaire. I don't even give it to them. I just do it right there. And then when I go home, I put the order together. Because I've already got her credit card. I've got everything I need. So does that make sense? I don't do that. That takes way too much time, but I do want to make sure that it's specific. And I do every single one of my consultants' orders right now because I do have sets that are kind of customized in general, but they're not completed until I pull it and add stuff that they've specifically set aside in their thing. Okay. Makes them feel important, makes them feel like they've been heard. Okay.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yeah.
What are you when you say the power plan, what is that referencing?
The welcome packet that Julia had us kind of create on our own, the power plan to kind of decide like what a good amount would be for the order. Yeah. So we've determined the inventory amount. Now, a rare occasion when a lower confident person hasn't figured out what she wants to do with inventory and she needs to like talk to her associates. You know what I mean? Like she's not confident to make the decision herself. She's not ready to commit to an inventory order and she wants to talk to her mom or husband or boyfriend or whatever. On that rare occasion, you do need to like schedule a time to complete that conversation. And so your next conversation with that person is going to be an inventory conversation and maybe even with the person that's influencing her and seeing if you can kind of get that all together at once. But someone like that also may end up needing to start with a smaller order and you have to kind of think about that at the beginning because her confidence just isn't there to make her own decisions. But let's go on the side of that. She was ready. She figured out her inventory. She gave you she either did give you the card information or she needs to figure out financing. So I say, okay, cool. Here's some financing options. When do you think you can have this figured out? And she'll give me a date. And I remind her that if she picks off some date in the blue moon future, like more than 15 days out, I'm like, girlfriend, you got a deadline of like, just like a week because you don't want to lose out on free product. You don't want to miss out on the excitement that you have now, which will happen the longer you wait. And so if we could get this, figured out in the next couple of days, you'll get your bonuses. We can get your party scheduled and all that stuff. So, okay. She's picked an inventory amount. Then I've placed the order and we've scheduled a date to place the order. And then I provide the next steps. Okay. And so that's when I go back to this little chart here or the texting form, which you guys, you're going to love these because it's so great. You can literally see every communication I've ever had with a new consultant from beginning to red with this new consultant. So I say, such a great orientation today. I'm super excited about your business. Here's a quick recap. Number 1, download Voxer and send me your ID. Turn off your sound notifications. Number 2, figure out your financing for your inventory and fill out the questionnaire for your $1,800 package that you decided on. Now, this was a specific text to a specific girl who had $1,800. You can change that, but the outline is here. Number 3, get pinned this week at meeting. Plan to dress up. Girl dressing with a red dress dancing. Number 4, keep working on your checklist, #prizes. Number 5, start the Voxer challenge to get in mental shape as an entrepreneur with Mary Kay. TinaFrantz.com, password faith, nerd glasses. Number 6, chat at 5 p.m. tomorrow to place your inventory order and schedule your business debut. #you're gonna rock at this. #just wait. #it gets better. Okay, so that's like, and I have that saved in my text as well. And then when I paste it, I just go back and I change the date and time, the dollar amount, unless we've already placed inventory. I just kind of tweak it, but that's the one that's like saved in my phone. Does that make sense? Like I can just go back and change the dollar amount of the inventory or whatever. So she gets that recap text. What does that recap text do? Number one, it reminds her what we talked about and what she's supposed to be doing. And number two, it reminds me what we talked about. That is the most important thing. My brain is like serious mush lately. I don't even know what it is. But like this helps me. I think it's because there's so many people I'm working with that they get all meshed together. And so, so this helps me. Okay. All right. And then, so that's the recap text. So back to the flow. You've gotten a recap text, inventory order is placed, and you schedule her first party. So her first party, whether that, I say in parentheses, business debut or beauty experience. So again, if she doesn't come in with an inventory order high enough for you to do her party, I put in parentheses business beauty experience. If she's my personal though, I'll do it no matter what. If she's a unit member, I'll ask her recruiter to help her with her first party. They can choose whether they want to do a skincare class if that's what they're more comfortable with, or they can choose to do a business debut like with the debut packet. Okay, then I send or hand her the business debut packet, okay? So the business debut packet, I also sent you in your email. It's awesome because it is super thorough. And I send her that after we schedule the party, and maybe we talk a little bit briefly about it. I say some pointers like don't just do a Facebook invite, but definitely do one because it's a great reminder. But I do schedule a chat. Once we place our inventory, once we schedule our party, that's a quick call. Then I schedule an actual chat to coach her on the business debut. So it's very relatively quickly the next day or so. And we go over the business debut. Okay. And so my text would be, I'm super pumped that we have your party scheduled. This is after we placed our inventory for June 2nd at 2 p.m. Don't forget to review the debut packet I gave you and circle anything you want to chat with me about on our next chat, which is in a few days on May 25th at 1. Here is the digital version if that helps. Hashtag party time, hashtag tag team, hashtag business debut. And then I've attached the business debut packet electronically as well. Now, what I've done, you guys, to make this super easy is I took the business debut packet and I created a link on Google so that she just clicks it and it pulls it up online. So it doesn't she doesn't have to download anything on her phone. Okay. I don't use Dropbox. Because sometimes at that point they haven't even downloaded Dropbox yet. So I just make sure that they can easily access it if I haven't given them a physical copy. So then we do the debut, the business debut coaching session. And basically I start with her questions first. I say, okay, after reviewing the thing, like, what are your questions? And then she asks questions first. And then I highlight a few things that I think are important. Her responsibility versus my responsibility, and the stuff that she needs to bring versus the stuff that I'm going to bring. And then I really hone in on, if people say no, what to say. Really tell her to utilize the scripts because the scripts work. Okay. And then after that, after we coached on the business debut, my recap text is, great chat about your party. I think it's going to be fabulous. Remember to send me your yes, no, and maybe list by Thursday so I can bring the correct number of door prizes. Also, anyone who can't make it, go ahead and schedule a facial with them using the script in the packet. Hashtag works like a charm. Also, follow-up debut recap is scheduled for Monday, June 5th at 2. I'll see you Saturday. So do you see what I did there? Like, I told her the main things that I wanted her to remember about our conversation. And then I told her that we're talking about her party on June 5th at 2. Now, her party's this Saturday, but I've already scheduled the recap because I don't know if I'll remember at the debut party. Okay? And so much is going on at the debut party, like half the time, like I forget to tell her what she needs to know. So that's why I have it scheduled ahead of time. And it's in her text, it's in my text, it's all good. Okay. And then I say, oh, and also don't forget to listen to the Pearls training I sent you through Voxer. It's really good and great for your training. See you tonight for your first pinning. And so this is Thursday, so we are pinning her, and I told her not to forget to listen to Pearls because I really want her to start thinking of people that she wants to ask to do it.
Can I jump in really fast? So just to make sure this is all super good. So basically at this conversation, this is like the coaching the debut party, like the debut party is coming up. You go over the questions. Like you said, you're highlighting what you're responsible for, what she's responsible for, all those things. You're going to touch on like the importance of Pearls. You're going to touch on like the Voxer challenge, touch on the importance of like, I know you're coming to meeting. And then like that recap is just that summary of like all of that.
Correct.
Okay. I just want to make sure. So this is all the same conversation.
Yep.
Cool. I just want to make sure.
Yep. It doesn't have to be a super long conversation about the debut. You're not reading the entire packet to her.
Right.
She's already done that. You're just highlighting the things that you're like, this is important. Okay.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Cool. Yeah. All right. So then next, she's got her pinning, and then she's got the party. And so the party, after the party, so the party happens. Obviously, you know your role at a debut party. I don't need to go over that. But the after debut, so right after the party is over, the day that we were scheduled to debrief, if I haven't talked to her by then, I say, your party was awesome. I'm so proud of you. Cannot wait to debrief with you today at 2. Is that time still good? ? So that's my confirmation of the debrief. Okay. That's what happens after the party, sometime between the party and the actual debrief conversation. Okay. So during the debrief, we do debrief the party. We talk about who was there and who scheduled chats and when those are for, and you know how to debrief a debut party. And then, okay, so the next conversation that while you're debriefing, you want to kind of share with her about some of the online resources. I always talk about my boot camp. And I'm like, this week would be a great time not only to finish up the Voxer challenge that you've been working on, but check out the boot camp video on, oh wait, hold on a minute. I backed up. Okay, yeah, I'm skipping ahead. So we debrief, we talk about the power start. Okay, so debut and power start is what we talk about, and the bracelet that she gets to earn, and I talk about how she wants to Voxer message me after every appointment that we got scheduled at that debut party, because I want to make sure that she's improved. So listen to the recap text, and this will kind of tell you what we talked about. The recap text goes like this: so excited to help you finish your power start and earn that gorgeous bracelet. Remember, after every appointment, shoot me a Voxer with your debrief, so every time I can help you improve. And this is what she sends me. 1, how did it go? What did you do well? What would you like to improve? What were your sales, bookings from bookings, chats, referrals, and how can I help? Okay, so that's all in the text recap. So she knows exactly what to Voxer me about after every appointment. And so when I get that first Voxer message, if she doesn't give me all of that information, I'll still encourage her, thank her for, sending me that recap. It sounds like a great first party. We all have like hiccups on our first party. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be pretty. Practice makes it pretty, that kind of thing. And then I'll say, hey, next time, here's what I want you to share with me after your appointment. And I'll act like I never told her that. And I'll just send it again. And I'm going to keep sending it until she gets the flow. Okay. Also, I review the boot camp number 1, or I remind her to review boot camp number 1. If you can, it's really good. Would love your feedback on it.